There's Tom.
You want me to disconnect?
Disconnect from.
That's showing that I'm on.
No, you are this.
Oh,
I
I'm-
am the other person.
Okay.
Yeah, let's just connect the whole thing.
Let's turn
Let's end the meeting.
Hello. Can they see us?
No, unless,
Yeah.
look, we can
Okay.
turn our video on. See?
Hello, everybody.
Hi.
Good to see everyone.
I'll hold it for you.
This will be interesting evening.
This is my 4th Zoom meeting of this week, so
Oh, you've had some practice.
no.
Well, Sally said she was.
This is my 4th Zoom meeting today.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Sally.
I just want to know how Jeff got a haircut.
I haven't had one since golly, February. Believe it or not, I wetted it down.
Well, I did the same.
I've wetted my hair down. Oh golly.
You wanted yours too?
Oh, yeah.
That's what everybody, that's what
Okay.
everybody's
Otherwise,
doing.
I look like Captain Kangaroo. Yeah, I got lots of
Yeah,
product
mine was
in mine.
really long. Yeah. Okay, there he is.
Yes.
All right. All right, well, we still have a few minutes. Anybody want to talk about anything before we start?
Yeah. So
Yeah, Ray, whose jersey is that behind you?
come up here.
Oh, that's that is Roberto Alomar.
Nice.
Ah,
Nice, yes,
very nice.
a rare acquisition.
It up a lot.
We expected a little solo.
Plan for that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
What's the matter?
Oh, I was just trying to prop this up a little bit
Oh,
more.
okay.
Yeah, it's not expensive.
I'm gonna put my keys behind it.
Sometimes it helps to set it up on a box or something so you're not looking up everyone's nose.
True, I know. My,
Hello, Mr. James.
my first Zoom meeting was about, I don't know, 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And I'm vice chairman of this large NOACA committee, right? So I was a little worried that they were gonna have me chair it, and I just wasn't sure. You know, you're vice chair, you don't know. So I get up. Fortunately, I took a shower. You know, this was my first meeting, and the mayor of Maple Heights, she's supposed to be the chairman. So guess what? She wasn't in attendance for the Zoom meeting. So I'm sitting at home. I've never done one before, and I got to chair the doggone thing. And so we made it.
Slides. Well, the problem is
It was
up here,
interesting.
it angles up.
Yeah.
It's not a good angle.
Okay. All right. Well, all righty.
We could get you a high chair.
Enough you can see me.
I got
I'll
a
just-
pillow.
A telephone book?
Yeah.
A telephone book, something.
Let's see, Sally,
I got it.
Cliff
I know what I'm
Callaway, and- No,
Yeah, Cliff Nowak, he was gonna get
There.
into his wife's.
That's good. That's good.
That's better.
Yes.
Okay.
I just have to say I'm a little disappointed that Mr. James' house isn't full of trees, plants, pictures of, park property. I keep looking and I'm not seeing it there.
I need to learn how to do that virtual background that would have all that stuff behind me.
Sally.
Okay. All right.
Okay, hang on,
2
let me check.
minutes still.
So we got a couple minutes. Okay.
We do, okay.
Now, is there people that are there or that signed in that are going to be able to ask questions or?
Right. We've got some people from the public here.
Okay.
Five people. And then obviously Sonia, Cheryl and Rob are here. We've got board member David from Wadsworth Williams. He's here as well with me, so that's it.
That iPhone might be no.
Okay,
All right.
I think we can get,
Okay, hold on, let me. turn this
let's
on.
start the tape recorder here. Okay. I think to welcome everyone to our Medina County Planning Commission meeting for May the 6th, 2020. I think this is the first time we've had a Zoom virtual meeting. So this will be a learning experience for all of us, I'm sure, and certainly appreciate everybody for participating out there. First, before we start the roll call, we were talking about how to handle this because there are quite a few people zoomed in here for the meeting. So for other than the board members, because we know that you're present, but anybody else out there in the public on your chat option, if you would at least sign in, because we've got everybody in the room signed in here when they walked in, but we want to know who else is out there. So on your chat option, if you want to utilize your chat option, we just would want your first and last name, who you're representing, and your email address. So that way, when we get into discussion of the various items here, we would certainly welcome your comments. We'll see them when you type in on your chat option, and that way we can address your questions and concerns. Does that sound good?
Mhm.
Okay.
So
All
this
right.
one I just put here.
Okay, real good. So anyways, why don't we say the Pledge of Allegiance to get started here. I'm going to stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States
States of America,
and
and
to
to
the
the
republic
republic
For which
for
it
which it
stands,
stands,
one
one
nation,
nation, under God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
with liberty
with
and
justice for all.
Okay, very good. All right, so far so good. Cheryl, would you like to read a roll call for us, please?
Eric Heffinger,
Here.
Jeff Brandon,
Here.
Chris Day,
Here.
Sally Albrecht. Here. Ray Schulte,
Here.
Leslie Miller,
Here,
Tom James,
Here,
David Williams,
Here.
and I just saw Cliff Calloway.
Not quite connected.
Okay, I put him in. Did I,
Ask if Noak's here.
Mr. Nowak, are you on? Oh, I guess he's-
Still muted.
I swear that's his iPhone.
Okay.
Okay.
it looks like Cliff is muted.
Okay.
Are there any other board members? Cliff Nowak, are you on? Can you hear me now?
Echo.
Cliff, are you out there?
It shows that he's muted.
Mm-hmm.
He must have muted himself.
Yeah.
Yeah,
According to our screen, looks like he might be muted. Cliff,
Well,
Cliff, are you out there?
Callaway?
Yes, I am.
there he is. Okay.
I got him.
Okay,
I got
super.
Cliff Calloway. I just don't have Cliff Nowak.
Cliff Nowak. Okay.
Okay,
All right.
I'm good.
Okay. We did not have a April meeting, but we did have a March meeting. So we'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes from the March 4th, 2020 meeting. Can I have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Okay, we've got a motion. Can I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, Leslie, second. And any discussion on those? All righty, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 All right, very good. Motion passed. Minutes are approved. All righty. We do have some correspondence. And let's see, Rob, you gonna take care of that one?
I've got it.
Okay.
The first piece of correspondence is the unfortunate notice of Sonia tendering her resignation. I'll let her speak to that because we're all too sad and unable to speak at this time.
Yeah, so my last day is this Friday, and I want to thank all of you for supporting our county planning. You guys do a phenomenal job every meeting and making sure that we're safe and healthy in this county, so I really appreciate you. And I will miss everybody that I've met, and I hope to see you all again sometime.
All right. We will miss you.
Do you have to accept her resignation?
Let's not accept it.
Yeah, I contemplated not accepting it, but
There's
I
no
did-
voting.
but I
portion.
decided that probably was a bad idea.
Okay, just asking for a friend. Okay.
All righty. Well, we'll miss you too, Sonia. Thanks
Thank
for all
you.
your hard work here and best of luck on your new venture.
Thank you so much.
All righty. We have got some items on the consent calendar. Rob, do we want to take these all at one time or one
Yeah.
individually?
All at one time, please.
All righty. Okay. So if I recall, these items will just, we will, actually, we've already discussed these, haven't we? These were just simple revisions. So,
Right, these are all preliminary plan extensions. There's nothing significant in the preliminary plan extensions to warrant any discussion.
all right, so we've got 3 items on the consent calendar. We've got the Sharon Falls, in Sharon Falls, we've got the Sharon Preserve extension request in Sharon Township. We've got the Preserve at Trillium Creek, the extension request that's in Montville Township, and then the Wedgewood Estates extension request in Lafayette Township. And so the chair will entertain a motion to approve those items.
I move that we grant the extension to Sharon Falls, the Preserve of Trillium Creek and Wedgewood Estates for their extension.
Wonderful. Have a second.
I'll second.
Okay, who's that?
Christopher Day.
Chris Day. Okay, very good. Thank you. Any more discussion? All right. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Anyone opposed? All right, then the motion passes. Consent calendar, those items are approved. All right, we will move on to old business. Do we have any old business this evening?
No.
No old business, but we definitely have some new business. We're going to begin tonight with the Stein Gas subdivision, also known as the Enclave at Woodside Preserve. And this is the final plat in York Township. And I believe, Rob, are you going to present this one
I
tonight?
will take care of this. Thank you.
Okay.
37 sublots. The owner of the subdivision, Pulte Homes of Ohio, engineer Donald Boning and Associates, and the site is located on the north side of Abbeville Road, south of Wolf Road. Jeff, if you would, next slide, please.
How do I, which one?
There, all the way to the,
This one here?
or the right mouse click, either or.
All right. So I can do this.
Yep.
Oh, cool.
The applicant proposed, thanks, Leslie. I think
No
it's
problem.
too. The applicant proposes the following on the 79.8 acre site, 37 sublots with the existing farmstead and some agricultural buildings located on a fronted sublot 37, which is fronts on Abbeville Road. 56.3 acres of open space, approximately 71.5% of the site area. 2 permanent cul-de-sac streets with 60-foot right-of-way and sidewalks on each side of the street. Central water and sewer. 4 stormwater management basins and a community garden and mail kiosk area. Access to the site is by the proposed Elmer Way, which accesses Abbeville Road to the south. Both Sharon Court and Elmer Way terminate in permanent cul-de-sacs. Jeff, next slide, please. Fire department has no, these are agency comments. The fire department, that doesn't present any problems. Sanitary engineer is approved. ODOT, no objections. Health department, no further comment. Tax maps, approved. Next slide, please. Agency comments of note, the highway engineer was conditional approval and the technical corrections are contained in your staff reports. The York Township zoning was conditional approval and it appears we're all on the same page. Only concerns that the HOA documents are fully approved before we sign off. Next slide, please. Staff comments. The following items were not included on or with the corrected preliminary plan. We're looking for a copy of the EPA NOI, HOA document edits per the prosecutor's comments, wetlands, permit info to be added to the preliminary plan, and the following items shall be included on or with the final plat, surveyor signature and seal, notarized certification by owners, all required signatures, HOA document reference for recording, and provide watershed boundary inset map. Next slide, please, Jeff. The proposed subdivision is consistent with the Liverpool Township Comprehensive Plan. The proposed subdivision substantially meets the standards and requirements of the regulations. The Medina County Sanitary Engineer has determined that all required central wastewater disposal facilities and central water facilities have been satisfactorily installed or adequate financial guarantees have been approved. Upon receipt of the highway engineer's certification of approval of the construction drawings, the director is authorized to execute the final plat on behalf of the Planning Commission upon certification by the highway engineer that construction is complete or that adequate financial guarantees have been provided. Next slide, please. With all that being said, staff recommends that the Planning Commission approve with modifications the final plat for the Steingas Preserve subdivision, subject to the following. Satisfy the listed comments from the commenting agencies, submit the required data or information as listed on or with the final plat, signed and signatures by the appropriate agencies. And then the following steps must be completed to finalize the final plat approval. 3 copies of the corrected final plat and a PDF of the layout must be submitted to the Department of Planning Services for transmittal to the appropriate agencies. All approval conditions must be satisfied prior to the director signing the final plat. And then upon recordation, the applicant shall provide a copy of the recorded final plat to the Department of Planning Services.
Okay. Thank you, Rob. Very, very thorough as always. Do we have any initial questions or concerns, comments from the board? Okay, seems quiet out there, so maybe
Sonia's got everybody muted.
we don't. Oh,
I
Sonia's got
don't have
everybody
everybody
muted.
muted.
I don't think so. I
No,
can
take
I
that
can
off
still
the
hear some
record.
ambient noise out there. All right.
Makes it much smoother.
All right. Do we have the applicant here this evening that could provide us with any further comments?
Yeah, please.
Sure,
Put that
please.
microphone.
Give us your name, please.
Hi, my name is Travis Coyne. I'm a civil engineer with Don Boney Associates. Here on behalf of Pulte Home.
Okay. All right. You want to go, Travis? Okay.
Hey, Travis.
Travis, are you out there? Yeah. Did you have anything you wanted to add? Give us some.
No, I mean we've been working with Matt Martin on his plat comments. We're going to address those and get those submitted.
Okay.
We do have Jim O'Connor here too. Is that all you wanted to say, Travis?
Yeah, I mean we didn't have any issues with any of their comments. Just minor edits on the plat. We've already contacted the tax map department, Mike Martin, with his comments on the streets. But we didn't have any issues with in the staff report. So that was about it.
Okay. Okay. All right. Very good, Travis. Then we'll turn it over here to Jim O'Connor. If you have anything else that you'd like to add?
Yeah, nothing further. I think Rob covered everything. The only thing that we did was there was just a name change, and that was both the marketing branding thing. So the name, insert the name The Enclave, and that represents a particular series of houses that we offer, and that becomes the same whether it's in different parts of in different areas, and it represents the type of houses. So that was the only thing that you'll see the now known as the Enclave at Woodside Preserve versus Steingas Preserve, which you and that was the only change.
Okay. Okay. All right. Well, thank you, Jim.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. All right. All righty. Is that from
I think that's David Hall.
that's David?
Yeah, he said this.
Ask
him if he wanted to say something or if,
Yes. David Hall?
I think it's David
Yeah,
Hall.
David Hall. Are you out there? Did you have some comments? Do we have anybody out there from York Township, representing York Township? Have anything you'd like to add?
Okay.
Okay. All right. I think everyone sounds like they're satisfied. Any final comments from our planning commission board before we move forward with a motion? Oh, we do have a public comment here. Yes. Yes, sir.
Can you hear me? My name is Tom Shimko.
Shimko.
Yeah, I live just to the south of this development. And the only thing I wanted to emphasize is with the drainage ponds, kind of the importance of maintaining those for debris, anything, because if those get backed up or there's an issue, it's going to flood onto our property.
Mhm.
So,
Okay.
I just want to make sure that everybody understands the importance of that.
Okay. Okay. Jim, could you comment on that at all about the drainage?
Sure. Yes.
Okay. All right.
I didn't even.
Thank you, Tom.
recognize you. Yeah, okay. Yes, we actually met, we were on site, we met with the county engineer, and we actually added some additional drainage swales and features. And that is one of the comments that is actually on the plat for additional access paths to the storm basins for maintenance. You'll see that on the comments, which Travis has addressed in the revised plat to be submitted. So we have that taken into consideration in the long-term stormwater management agreement.
Okay, very good. All right. Thanks, Jim. All right. Any other comments, public comments? Anybody representing York Township? We're all set. Board members, any last thoughts? Okay. Then the chair will entertain a motion for the Steinglass final plat.
I would move to approve the Steingas final plat as recommended by the staff.
Tom James.
Okay. Yep. Tom James.
Yes.
All
Sorry, I
right.
should have said that.
Okay. I could see you there. Thanks, Tom. Okay. Can I have a second? David, we have a second there. All right. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 All right. Anyone opposed? All right. Then the motion passes. Very good. Thank you. All right. We're going to move along here. The next piece of new business is the Pine Hills subdivision. This is the preliminary plan in Hinckley Township. And let's see, Rob, are you going to present this one as well?
I'm going to do, Sonia's doing the heavy lifting. I'm just reading the notes.
All right.
Struggling.
Okay, this is preliminary plan for Pine Hill subdivision in Hinckley Township, 31 sublots. The owner, Pine Hills Golf Course Club Incorporated, developer, North Park Developers LLC, engineer, TGC Engineering LLC. The 61.35 acre site is located on the east side of West 130th Street, south of Grafton Road. Next slide, please. You did it already. You're good. Perfect. The applicant proposes the following on the roughly 61 acre site, 31 sublots in 2 phases, 6 acres of open space, approximately 14% blocks A through E, 1 single street A with 60-foot right of way terminating in a permanent cul-de-sac street, which is approximately just shy of 2,500 feet. Water and sewer.
They don't really allow.
They wanted you to sign in, but.
The site itself is primarily deciduous forest. Topography varies throughout the site with rolling topography throughout. The submitted plans indicate wetlands and riparian areas primarily in the center portion of the plan.
Let me know when you want to go to the next slide.
You got a bit of a reprieve. I got lots to talk about.
All right.
Access to the site is provided via 130th Street. No access is necessary to the 17.9 acre piece that will be split and consolidated parcel further north and ultimately will be removed as part of the subdivision. Staff considered the following street stub connections. A street stub to the east, the adjacent parcel is zoned R1 and a plan for its development has been submitted to our office. There appears to be no physical characteristics of the land precluding such a connection. I'm going to slow things down a little bit and talk about criteria when we're considering whether it's desirable or practical for streets to be extended. And this is contained in section 604B3 of the subdivision regulations. So, and these are the criteria. So first is a resolution from the township may be provided by the township trustees indicating the desire of the township that the street be platted or not be platted to continue to the adjacent property. A resolution was received by DPS staff indicating the desires of Hinckley Township. And so per the 2015 Hinckley Township Comprehensive Plan, the plan chooses to discourage interconnection of streets in order to minimize traffic, promote neighborhoods, and enhance the rural environment as long as the existing roadway pattern provides safe and convenient access. The township, as a result of this particular section, passed resolution number 030320-05, voting for no through street for the proposed Pine Hill subdivision. One of the other criteria is the potential to subdivide adjacent land for future use, and existing stubs are considered. Staff has received a concept plan as stated to the east of this property, which indicates that there is a very high likelihood that that land to the east is going to be subdivided. And it's staff's position generally that interconnection between subdivisions is the preferred method of moving forward. Other criteria, access route for emergency vehicles is approved by the fire department. We received no comment from the Hinckley Township Fire Department. Additional criteria, the existing and future volume of traffic will be adequately serviced. Staff assumes existing traffic is being adequately serviced by the proposed plan, but with the addition of this development, the volume of traffic will increase. Additional means of ingress and egress will provide for improved traffic circulation, and staff is concerned, actually I can skip that. And then the final criteria for deciding whether it's appropriate for or desirable for a street to connect is the natural topography and other valuable features of the site, including flood-prone soils, wetlands, unique vegetation, or animal habitat, woodlands, and slope are considered. Several portions of the land are wooded, but that is not preventing the applicant from developing the property and extending that street stub. There appear to be no physical characteristics of the land precluding the recommended connection. Now I'm going to ask you to remember all that stuff. We're going to talk about that later when we get back to the consideration. Based on our experience with the Steingas subdivision, we're going to make sure that we discuss the question of whether the street extends or not separately from the recommendations for the subdivision, just to make sure we're clear about how we're going to proceed. Next slide, please. Agency comments, Hinkley Township Fire Department, conditional approval, sanitary engineer approved, ODOT District 3, no objections, Health Department, no further comments, tax maps approved, Hinkley Township zoning approved, and TC Energy approved. Next slide, please, Jeff. Agency comments of note, the highway engineer, conditional approval, but technical corrections are contained in the staff report. And then Soil and Water Conservation District, conditional approval. Technical information was also contained in your staff report. Next slide, please. Staff comments. The following items were not included on or with the corrected preliminary plan. FEMA floodplains, if applicable. Homeowners Association documents. Wetlands, make sure the contact is made with the Army Corps of Engineers. A watershed boundary inset map, and a copy of the Ohio EPA Developer's Notice of Intent. Next slide, please. The proposed subdivision substantially meets the standards and requirements of the regulations. The applicant has not submitted evidence indicating that the proposed subdivision meet the standards and requirements of Hinkley Township zoning resolution. There was a comment in the staff report regarding a T turnaround that the trustees will and the highway engineer will need to approve that T turnaround. Proposed final plat or preliminary plan, excuse me, fulfills the purpose and intent and meets the intent of the subdivision regulations. And the sanitary engineer has determined that the subdivision will adequately service by the sanitary sewer subject to approval of detailed plans. And the highway engineer has determined that the preliminary plan for streets, stormwater management, and natural drainage way protection is acceptable after the approval of more detailed construction drawings. All right, Jeff, if you would advance the slide, please. And so before we get to the recommendations, we want to make sure that we have a discussion, or the Planning Commission expresses their desires for the street to stub to the adjoining property. The applicant has proposed that the street not stub and end in a permanent cul-de-sac. Staff has recommended that the street continue to the property line for extension in the future. And we want to turn that over to the Planning Commission now for some discussion, just to make sure before we get to the recommendations what the Planning Commission's wishes are.
Okay. All right, that sounds good, Rob. I had a question then. I think it was the second slide when we were looking at the plat. So it's the way it's shown. I didn't see any stub streets.
There is no stub street shown. The staff during the concept plan advised the applicant that a stub to the east. So right now the cul-de-sac stops short of the eastern property boundary. During the concept plan, staff recommended to the applicant that continue to the property boundary. The applicant has elected not to follow staff recommendation, and that's why we're having the discussion about the street stub now.
Okay. All right. So let's open this up because I do remember all the discussion we had last year for the Steingas subdivision. This one has a lot of similarities.
Correct.
So okay. So Planning Commission, any thoughts on this?
Well, this is Sally. I just want to clarify that my understanding is accurate of the situation. The way I understand it is that the county has recommendations or policies or desires that we have substreets to interconnect our neighborhoods. And that the kind of issue here is that the townships believe that they have the right to have a stub street or a cul-de-sac, a cul-de-sac and no connections because it just more defines their personality and their mission and how they want to develop their area. Is that pretty much it?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Okay.
The applicant has elected not to follow the staff recommendation, and we're just turning the decision about the street stub back to the planning commission.
Well, and it's not about it being a planning department policy. It says in our subdivision regs that it is up to the planning commission to decide whether or not to extend the street to the undeveloped land. And we're providing you, our planning commission, a recommendation. I just want to make that really clear. It is your decision. It is not about policy.
Okay.
This is Tom James. There was a letter received also from Pine Hills Golf Club on this issue. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yes, that's correct.
So could someone on that plat that's on the screen point out? I'm a little confused because there's no north arrow on the. Is the north up on the map?
Correct. Yes, north is up on this particular map.
So that letter is indicating that the area that's currently shown on the plat as part of the golf course is going to be removed. Is that correct?
Right. The issue there, Tom, is that the way that it was shown as a block, and it was not clear originally what the purpose of the block was for. And generally speaking, when we do subdivision plats, if the block is not intended for open space, we prefer that it be shown what it was for. And so with discussions with the applicant, that it was pretty quickly realized that the intent for that piece of property was for that piece to stay with the golf course. It's a, as I understand, it's a functioning hole and is essential for the functioning of the golf course. So essentially that piece of property is just going to be removed from the subdivision prior to a final plat.
Okay, so then looking at the right side of the plat is where you're recommending the connection, the stub connection be made. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay.
That would be where the cul-de-sac is then, right?
Correct.
So in that letter, when they refer to a stub, they're not talking about this stub that we're now talking about.
Correct. We originally were calling for a stub to the block to the north, which is the piece that was going to be part of the golf course. So there was actually two stubs that we were talking about originally, but that with the discussions with the applicant, the issue with the north seems to resolve itself.
Then Rob, the area in the center that you have in gray, those are just wetlands.
Correct.
So where would that second stub? Where did you say that could potentially be located?
We're not recommending for a second stub.
Oh, okay.
Originally we were, but
okay.
That's not part of
Originally,
the
the
mix.
top one was essentially going to end up like a landlocked piece with no guarantee of anything for the future. And that's really not good for a community to have just a parcel hanging out in the middle of everything. But now they've clarified what they're doing with that property. So now really a stub to the north doesn't make any sense. Because if they would just stub it to the right, where we do have someone that applied with a concept plan for that property that's right here to the east, that would honestly, I mean, it would work. I don't know from the applicant's point of view what that looks like, but from our point of view.
Right. Okay.
Would the creation of a substreet do anything to the number of lots currently proposed? Would that be able to be reconfigured to still contain the same number of lots if there was a stub street added?
Not actually increase the number of lots.
I don't know if you heard, Travis Crane was saying that it would likely increase the number of lots.
Wouldn't it decrease the number of lots again still?
That's Leslie?
No, that wasn't me.
Oh, okay. Who had that last comment? All right, well, all right. All right, so we've heard, I know Tom had some comments, Sally had some comments. Any other initial comments from our board members?
I have one other comment, if I can say something else.
Yeah.
I had a really hard time finding this when I was out driving around, and I believe that to the south of this parcel, there is an existing substreet, isn't there? Or is it just a dead end street? From what I drove down every road near there, and then I finally figured out that this was going to be put in between the two, like, farmhouses.
Right, that's correct.
Yeah. So isn't there a stub street right to the south of it?
Okay, why don't we do this? I think we have the applicant here. Why don't we turn the mic over to the applicant, and then they might be able to answer some of our questions here.
Travis, TGC Engineering. I'm also here with Chris Bender, the developer.
Okay.
To answer that specific question, the street next south is Forest Drive, and that is a cul-de-sac. The next street to the south is Babcock, and that cuts through from West 130th to Stonewall. I think something I'd like the planning commission to consider. I think there's a serious engineering issue. In my professional opinion, would warrant not doing a connection between the two properties. When we actually looked at that property to the east for a couple different clients. I know that's on the table right now, but there's a serious site distance issue on Stony Hill on the front edge of that property. I think the site distance is probably not bad enough to prevent the development of that property for 20 some lots. But I think if we add another 30 back onto that connection on Stony Hill, and not just the 20 plus the 30 here, but then you basically have another cut through from West 130 to Stony Hill. And I think that'd be a mistake from a planning standpoint, engineering standpoint, to bring that traffic on the Stony Hill.
Okay. Could everyone hear Travis okay?
Barely.
Barely? Okay. We've got him on a microphone. I don't know if there's a way we can turn that up. We'll try.
You have to talk right into it. Yeah, you have to talk
Okay.
right into
But
it.
we're gonna check our microphone here. Okay.
Pretend Mr. Microphone.
I think.
All
right. Can everyone hear Travis better now? We've got his microphone turned up.
Address the original question about what's located to the south. And just to repeat what I said before, the first street directly to the south of our subdivision is Forest Drive, and that is a cul-de-sac. And then there's another east-west street south of that, and I think it's called Babcock. It connects West 130th to Stony Hill. So there's already a cut through and a connection between West 130th and Stony Hill. And the point I was trying to make from the engineering issue that I'm concerned with of creating a stub between to the east side of this property, which would be the right side of the screen as you're looking at it. The terrain on Stony Hill that's on the frontage of the parcel to the east is difficult from a site distance standpoint. And although I think it's doable to subdivide that property in 2-acre lots for 20 to 30 lots and hit the site distance requirements, I think there'd be an issue if you're adding an additional 30 lots from this subdivision coming onto Stony Hill in a very difficult situation. And not just these 20 plus 30 houses, probably then another cut through from the east side of Brunswick to get to Ridge Road would be using this also. And I just think that would be a mistake to drop that traffic at that location on Stony Hill.
Okay.
All right.
Understand.
Very good. Thank you, Travis. All righty.
This is Tom James. I'd like to add another comment. Looking at the ortho photograph of this property, I know there's a comment about forest cover, and it's in the area we're asking for a street connection. It's got pretty heavy forest cover. So we would be removing a lot of extra trees by
Right.
requiring stub.
Okay, good observation. All right, any other questions?
I don't know what he's referencing with that.
Okay, yeah, I don't know either. Okay. All right, let's see, Chris, you're the applicant?
Yes, good
Yeah,
evening. First
further
of all, I wanna
comments?
Thank all of you for setting this arrangement up tonight. Most municipalities, counties and so forth are canceling meetings with broad brush. So I salute all of your pioneer spirit and hopefully we'll all get through this and next fall we can probably just joke about it. But thank you very much for your time because quite frankly, people in this room were the beneficiaries and I want to thank you.
All right, our pleasure, we try.
This is my first project in Hinckley. I represent North Park Developers. Done several projects in Medina County, basically Brunswick Hills, West Chase off of West 100 or off of 303 is one. The Arbors at the corner of Grafton and Marks is another one that was it's kind of a senior complex there. But we've had great success in the county. We worked well with the offices, including Rob's office, was the county engineer's office. What we're trying to do here, and we did take direction from the township. We took very seriously their master plan. I guess that's what they call it. And they are very interested in protecting their kind of atmosphere that they have there. As noted, this property is substantially bigger inside, perhaps utilizing these lots by code could be smaller. We made them larger. Our original plan when we worked with the golf course people was to do about 39 lots there. The more that we study that with the environmental people as well as Travis's office, cut it down. We made wider lots. It's very wooded, as was pointed out, and we'd like to maintain as much of that atmosphere in that neighborhood as possible. And of course, the golf course is somewhat reluctant. They have resisted selling any property for nearly 60 years. They actually bought this property 30 years ago as a buffer for their course, and they are considered somewhat of a benefit to the township and county. But the time has come where they said they did need to raise some cash. I think they want to make some improvements. And fortunately, we were successful enough to negotiate a deal. But they have encouraged us to do everything we can to keep the atmosphere in the area probably commensurate with the golf course in the attitude in Hinckley. I think we have the support of the township trustees as evidenced by the expedience in which they passed that resolution. And I certainly respect the county planning department. They have a job to do. And they have kind of guidelines which they work by every day, and I work on things. They're kind of doing a good job. I'm not telling you that just tonight, Rob. I told you that before. And otherwise, I wouldn't be here. I mean, you can go anywhere and be a business, I guess. But that's kind of the reason it drew us back. So we just think that there would be a cut through, and my main concern would be Babcock Road a little bit further south, but it is further south. And people going east-west, coming up West 130th Street, if they're going to go east, they're going to take this, it's going to turn into a boulevard. And that's really not the kind of community that we propose for there. We kind of want to keep it a close to those comments. I thank you again.
Okay, all right. Thank you, Chris. What was your last name again here?
Yeah, it's Bender.
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 Okay.
In this case, our company here is North Park Developers. We're known kind of on a retail basis, a few homes.
Okay.
And that's our story. Thank you.
Okay, very good. All right. Thank you, Mr. Bender. Thank you. Okay. Do we have anybody from the township that would like to speak representing the township, Hinckley Township?
You don't, that's the township.
Chris Kalina just tried to talk.
Anybody from representing the township that would like to speak?
Chris Kalina.
Chris Kalina.
Yes.
All right. Did you have any comments that you'd like to make?
Oh, I have a number.
Okay. All right. Go ahead.
I hear Rob laughing. He's not surprised. This is This is one of the things that actually, during our concept meeting with the applicant, and we're not to the point where we've even had a preliminary plan. So this is the first time I'm viewing on the screen here what they've presented, because we had shared with them some concerns about some of the topography, some of the riparian areas, setbacks, and I see that they have lost some of the lots since they originally submitted the plan to us. And I'm actually personally very happy to see that. So one of the things that I did mention to them, and there were a number of topics that we discussed, which I'm going to share with the commission this evening. But one of the things I mentioned to them was I was confident that the Department of Planning Services would end up recommending a substreet, even though the zoning commission was not recommending that. And a couple of reasons why. Number one, I mean, that's just a little bit of my history of working with the Department of Planning Services over the past 20 plus years in Medina County. And just to share with the commission a little bit of my background, I have served as chair of the Medina Township Zoning Commission. I've served as chairman of the Sharon Township Zoning Commission, and I'm currently chairing the Hinckley Township Zoning Commission. So I've been around Medina County zoning for a lot of years, and I've seen some good subdivisions, and I've seen a couple that I wish there were some changes that would have been implemented to them. And you know, one proposal that was floated back in the 90s before Reagan Parkway was put in was the idea of potentially turning Foot Road into a cul-de-sac. And that was actually floated by the Medina Township trustees back in the mid-90s, for those that have been around and recall that. And obviously, you know, that would not have been good for the traffic flow, for the thoroughfare, as a collector street. I mean, many reasons why. But this is an entirely different situation, what we're talking about here. So, you know, I guess the first thing I want to say is I understand why the Department of Planning Services does recommend stub streets to interconnect developments and to promote the flow of traffic around Medina County, safety, etc. I understand all of that. But in some cases, it's just not practical. And I would tell you, I believe strongly that this is one of those situations. And so let me share what we talked about at our zoning commission meeting with you. Number one, this parcel and the parcel to the east of this, which will probably at some point become a subdivision. So I'm not telling you that's probably not going to happen. Those are in two different school districts. So this is right at the dividing line. So they are two entirely different school districts. Not only are they different school districts, they're also in different zones within our community. So they are zoned entirely different. This is a higher density subdivision. That is a lower rural residential area. So they're going to be two totally different subdivisions with different flavors, different communities. They're going to have different regulations, different HOAs. They're going to be different in every way, shape, and form that they possibly could be. They're going to have an entirely different character. As was mentioned, our comprehensive plan does not promote this either. This is not the character of Hinckley Township, and it goes against what we're trying to do, which is to promote communities like the one that I happen to live in, and perhaps the ones that some of you live in your communities. Our trustees did pass a resolution, and I will tell you that this plan was unanimously approved by the zoning commission, our zoning inspector, along with the board of trustees. So you essentially have the entire public body of Hinckley Township who likes this plan without the stub. In addition to that, let's talk about the logistics of this, because I live in this area, and I will tell you that if this is connected to the other subdivisions, the Bailey subdivision, and we looked at both of these actually the same evening, the concept plans. So they were both in front of us at the same time. And the first thing I'm going to do when COVID's over with and the pandemic ends and we can go out and I can get a haircut, because I need one really bad right now. Despite how good it looks, I really need a haircut. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to leave my house. I'm going to cut down Mattingly Road. And if this is a connector street, I'm going to hit the 90-degree which if anybody hasn't been there, this is a true 90-degree turn at this intersection. This is one of the sharpest intersections in the county. And there are vision problems there, drastic vision problems. So I'm going to cut down Mattingly. I'm going to make a very short jaunt. I'm going to cut right through this street here, and I'm going to hit 130th for another little short jaunt. And then I'm going to hit Grafton and shoot up to get my haircut. So it will no doubt become a cut-through street. And we actually already have one, and that is Babcock, which is very close to this. So there's going to be vision problems. There's sight problems with connecting that. It's a terrible intersection already. This is extremely close to that. And so this is just not something that we are in favor of for numerous reasons from Hinckley Township. And I'm happy to answer anybody's questions as well, because we talked about this at length at our meeting, and we looked at both of these properties at the same time, which that would be the ultimate opportunity to connect them, but we are not looking to do that.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Chris. Robert, do you have any comments? You just stood up. I didn't know if you had a.
I was just standing up because I had been sitting down.
Okay. All right. Okay. As far as the planning commission goes, do we have any other comments? And thanks, Chris. You put a lot of thought into this. Anyone else have any comments out there? All right.
And I guess what I'd be looking for, just so that we're clear, is an affirmative statement from the planning commission as to their desire to whether the street should connect through before we go to the recommendations, because that way we can be very clear.
And then Rob, just so I'm clear, so in the motion, the recommended motion that you've prepared, that I think item number 2, you've got this would pertain to the stub, wouldn't it?
Right.
Item
And
number 2.
depending on the way they go, I think perhaps maybe what we do is we do 2 motions. We do one motion declaring whether the street connects or doesn't, and then the second one will just deal with the approval of the subdivision. And that if it goes, I'll be really quite frank with you, the way that I think it's going to go, then the recommendation regarding the street stub can be removed as part of the recommendation.
All right, that sounds good. I just want to make sure, do we have any further public comments at all? Anyone here presently or out there virtually? Do we have any public comments that we could entertain? All right. Why don't we do this then? I'm going to ask for a motion. Carol, entertain a motion, and this would be in regards to the stub. Why don't we do that first? Why don't, well, I guess I'm not going to make the motion. I'll ask somebody to do it. If someone would
Why
make.
don't you read it, and then there's nothing
Well,
written. It's just a question of whether the commission wants the stuff or not.
Yeah, we'll get to the recommended motion in a second. We'll do that secondly. Well, let's talk about this some more, even before we get to the motion. What's the consensus out there? What are your thoughts regarding a stub, which would be an additional connection here, or without a stub? I bet we've got some comments out there that we can talk about. Okay, so David Willis not in favor of the stub. All right. Any other comments from the board members?
I'm in favor of the plan as submitted. I found Mr. Colinas's testimony to be compelling, and I did kind of lean towards that in the beginning anyway.
Okay. All right. Any other opinions out there?
No, I agree with Sally that Mr. Colina definitely made his case and made us understand, at least me, made it understand a lot more.
Okay. All right. Well, why don't we do this then I'm going to ask for a motion regarding this stub, if somebody would make one. Let's just do that first, and then we'll do the other recommended motion secondly. So I'm going to entertain a motion for a stub street. Or no stub street. Anybody wants to?
I'll
propose?
make a motion that
David's got it.
we do not permit a stub in this ideal subdivision, a stub street. How does that sound?
Okay, that makes sense to me. Can I have a second?
I second the motion. This is Cliff.
Cliff, thank you.
Is it Callaway?
Callaway?
Yes.
Callaway. All right. Any further discussion?
Say the motion again, please.
The motion is basically to not permit a stub.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure.
Permit a stub. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Okay. All right. How about the other way? Anyone opposed? Okay, it's unanimous. All right.
Wonderful.
Then that motion passes. So then we'll get on with the recommended motion, and we would just eliminate the number 2.
Well, I'll go
Right.
for- if I may.
Yes, please.
So staff recommend, with that being said, staff recommends that the planning commission approve with modifications the final plat for the preliminary plan for Pine Hill subdivision, subject to the following. The applicant shall provide all requested documentation and 3 full-size copies of the corrected preliminary plan, including a PDF of the layout prior to final plat submission, successful completion of the lot split and consolidation of the northern parcel prior to moving to final plat submission, submit the required data and information as listed above on or with the preliminary plan, and satisfy all comments listed in the staff report from the agencies and staff.
All right.
And delete comment 2 as shown in the staff report.
All right. Then Charles will entertain that motion. Would someone like to make that?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Was Leslie?
Second.
And who seconded the motion?
Christopher Day.
All right. Thanks, Chris. Got you covered. Okay. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Yeah, I saw your name.
Anyone opposed? All right. Motion passes. Very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Members of the commission and members of.
Leave it on, just let it run, okay?
I'd like to thank you very much for your consideration, thoughtful consideration, and we appreciate the time we're allowed to present our case. Thanks.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Bender. Okay. Moving along here, I believe the next item on our agenda has been tabled, correct? This would be the Redwood Lake Road subdivision.
Correct.
Was that tabled? Okay. All right. And that'll be tabled for the June 3rd meeting. Then we're going to move on to text amendment for the Sharon Township text amendment. And Mr. Henwood, you got this one? Okay.
The applicant is the zoning commission.
Just leave it on.
Hearing date is to be proposed to section 510 RD planned residential development district. Next slide, please. The zoning commission requested review of several substantive changes to the Sharon Township zoning resolution section as follows.
No, but this mistake.
A series of minor housekeeping items. 2, change to the permitted density from 1.33 to 1.0 units per acre. Delete attached single-family dwellings as a permitted use and references to said use. 3, delete condominium associations as entities that may manage common areas and references to said associations, and delete waivers to standards contained in this section. Next slide, please, Jeff. Thoughts about the substantive thoughts about the proposed changes regarding the maximum density. Reducing the maximum permitted density limits one of the primary methods of accomplishing flexibility described by the purpose statement in this particular section. Staff recommends that the zoning commission reconsider changing the maximum density and allowing themselves to maintain that flexibility. Next slide, please, Jeff. With that being said, staff recommends that the Planning Commission approve with modifications the proposed amendments to the Sharon Township zoning resolution as presented in the staff report.
Okay, Rob, thank you very much. Okay, any initial thoughts, questions from the Planning Commission?
Okay, could you go back to the first slide, please?
David's got a question. Gonna go back to the first slide.
Okay, that's basically a single family, or what are we looking at here?
This is the area immediately adjacent to the city of Wadsworth. That essentially what they're doing is they're just increasing the maximum or
number of units per acre.
They're decreasing the number of units per acre, so that it was at 1.33. They're decreasing it down to 1. When you do that, it allows the developer a little bit of flexibility on the site. If you take away, and we're talking 1/3 of a unit per acre, if you take that away, it reduces some of the flexibility. And it's just staff's position that if they leave it the way that it is, they maintain that flexibility without having all that much impact on the outcome.
Okay. All righty. Okay. Any other initial thoughts, concerns, questions from the Planning Commission? All right. I'll open it up to anyone representing Sharon Township. Do we have anyone out there from representing the township that would like to talk to us tonight?
Guess not.
No? Okay. How about public comments? Any public comments? Here, out there, virtually? Okay. I don't think there are any. All right. Very good. Then the chair will entertain a motion for the text amendment.
All right.
This is Tom James. I'll make a motion to approve the Sharon Township text amendment with modifications.
All right, thanks, Tom.
This is Leslie, I'll second.
All right, we have a second from Leslie.
Mhm.
All right, any further discussion? All right, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 All right, anyone opposed? All right, then the motion passes. Very good. Okay. Then I found a letter in my packet. I didn't see this on the agenda that Homer Township had some business. They're going to withdraw proposed amendments to their zoning resolution. So that was taken off a long time ago. Okay. I'll put that one on that pile there. All right. We'll move on to the planning director's report. Looks like we have a couple items there. Rob, want to tell us about?
Yeah, Rob.
We do. What are the
Hey, take it out.
I need to check out what
grant?
Yes, we're having a second public hearing regarding the CDBG applications received for 2020. That'll be on Monday, the 11th at 10:30 a.m. We're having a similar setup where we're having people come in, and there's a Zoom option as well. And program year 2018 to complete. We've gone out to bid for both of the secured contractors, so we will be constructing the Spencer Township ramp replacement and the Village of Lodi ADA restroom upgrades. And that would be it for the planning director's report.
Okay, fantastic. All right, any questions from the board regarding the planning director's report? Any questions or comments? All right. How about any further public participation tonight? I think we made history. We had our first virtual Medina County Planning Commission meeting. Isn't that correct? First one ever,
In
huh?
my 20
So
years.
how about that?
Yeah.
Wow.
Historic event. All
Is
right.
there a medal or a plaque or anything that we get?
Maybe.
Yeah,
We'll
certificates for
we'll come up
everyone.
with something.
That's called a participation trophy.
Yeah, there you go.
Exactly. Exactly. All right. Any other further business that we can think of?
Say goodbye to Sonia. Good luck.
Thank
Yes,
you.
yes, good luck, Sonia.
Bye, Sonia.
Hi.
Good luck, Sonia.
Thank you.
Absolutely enjoyed working with you.
I love you guys.
We'll miss you. Oh, wow. All righty. Well, if there's no other further business, we're going to adjourn. Can I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
I will make that motion. It's me, Leslie.
All right. David beat you. How about a second? I have a second from
I'll second.
Sally. All right, Sally, second the motion. Then we are adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks, Colleen.
Everybody stay safe and well.
Stay safe out
you.
there.
Thank you.
All righty. Have a good evening.
Bye.
Hey.
Bye. Bye, Sonia.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.